All right, hello everybody. My name is Kurt Anderson, and I am an EFT practitioner, the director of education at EFT Universe, and I put together this free webinar to share with everybody some things that I've learned as I've been discovering and doing a lot of work around breath work, right? So this intention of this webinar is to talk about ways in which that you can incorporate breathwork into existing EFT session protocols and practices. And what we're going to do within this is I'm going to talk a lot about breathwork. I'm going to share some science related to it, some background information. And then I'm going to show you 4 different techniques some high leverage techniques that you can utilize within your sessions to really accentuate and work with EFT. So the whole point here is in this process that I've been having of discovering breath work is, well, how do I use this in the context of an EFT session to provide some added benefits for my clients? I've been doing a lot of breathwork experiences, going to workshops, and they're very powerful and they're very interesting practices, and they really do help, and they've helped me with a lot of things. But the way in which to combine those things and combine my experiences and the benefits that I've gotten from breathwork with other modality, with the EFT modality, that was something that I needed to start experimenting with, that I wanted to be able to show and do with clients. And then once I started getting some real successes with it, I wanted to be able to share it with the community because I think there's a lot of potential benefits here. And I'm going to talk about those right now with you. So I'm going to do my best here. I've been doing a lot of studying on how to properly work with Zoom to make sure that it'll allow me to do the proper sharing of the screen. So let me do a little work here. And let's share the screen and hit this. All right. And then I hit this and then here. All right. So what we're going to work on today is we're going to work on how to use breath work to enhance your EFT sessions. All right. Like I already said, my name's Kurt Anderson. So let's go ahead and get going here. All right, to begin with, I wanted to provide a little bit of background knowledge on breath work and some different myths that are associated with it. So I want you to have a little bit of background here. So the myth number one I want to discuss is that there is a right and a wrong way to breathe. I can't tell you the number of times when we start to work on breath work within EFT sessions that somebody will say, I know I'm breathing all wrong. And that is just not the case. Any way you're breathing is, there's not a right way and there's not a wrong way, but here are the facts that you breathe in different manners, and those different manners will have different effects on your mind and your body. And those effects can either be beneficial or they can be detrimental, depending upon the situation. So the ways in which you are breathing are for a specific reason. Your body has an innate wisdom, and it is doing this because it thinks it needs to. All right. And in some of those cases, that's really, really important. In other cases, it's just no longer serving you. So our breath work isn't right or wrong. It's just different breaths for different situations. The next myth I've heard a lot is you really want to make sure you breathe deeply, which is going to increase your oxygen levels, which is really going to improve your overall health. And this one turns out to not be 100% accurate either. You really want to breathe less, right? The less and the lighter you breathe, the more improved health outcomes you're going to experience. And as you breathe less, you're actually going to increase your carbon dioxide levels, right? And that carbon dioxide level increase is going to increase the delivery of oxygen to your cells. It's something known as the Bohr effect. As the higher your CO2 levels get, it lowers your blood pH levels, which allows higher levels of oxygenation, getting more oxygen into your cells. There's a lot of science around this, and I read about it, but the best way I found to really explain this is the subway car analogy. All right. So I want you to think of your circulatory system as a giant subway in a big metropolitan city. All those lines is your circulation system that go to all the different areas of the city, all the different areas of your body. Now, the cars are the red blood cells. Those are the things that's where it transfers the people, which is the oxygen, on the lines to where they need to go. All right. Now, what I want you to know about in this analogy is that your blood already is full, is 95 to 99% saturated with oxygen. So in this analogy, the cars are 95 to 99% full. So if you want to increase the efficiency of this system, make the subway run better, the idea is to jam more people into the cars, right? The cars are already full. So what you want to do is you want to increase the number of cars so that way you can get more people, you can get more oxygen to where where it needs to go, right? So it's not about getting more oxygen in, it's about the delivery of the oxygen to where it needs to go. And that's the Bohr effect. Now, the third myth is that deep breathing really increases those oxygen levels, which provides a calming effect on the body. You've heard this a million times. If you're really upset, you just need to breathe deep. Now, every time I see people take that advice, the first deep breath they take is, in that manner of breath is not going to calm your body. That is going to increase the stress response. It's going to keep you in a sympathetic state. So what the actual truth is that breathing more lightly is going to have a calming effect on your body. Breathing through your nose diaphragmatically. When you're in a sympathetic response, the natural thing to do is going to breathe in more through your mouth and definitely higher in your chest. And that's a sympathetic signal. And refer to myth number one, that can be very beneficial when you need it. But most people get stuck in that state, and then they're breathing in a way in which it's going to constantly keep that sympathetic stress system activated. When you breathe in through your nose while you're pushing out your belly, you're not only going to increase your carbon dioxide levels and tolerance, so you get all those things we talked about in myth number two, but you're also going to increase your nitric oxide levels. And so why should you care about that? Well, nitric oxide is a neurotransmitter. It's one of those signaling molecules, and it's actually made in your nasal cavity. So as you breathe in through your nose, you're going to get increased numbers of increased nitric oxide levels, more of these neurotransmitters. And these are associated with better oxygen intake or uptake or oxygenation by 10 to 20%. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. So it's going to lower your blood pressure while increasing your circulation. That's going to naturally impact your cardiovascular health because it's widening your blood vessels, right? It's making them more dilated. It's easier to flow. On the other side, it's going to increase recovery. It's going to increase strength. It's going to increase your learning. It's going to increase memory. And it's going to increase your resilience to stress because that is going to signal your parasympathetic response and enable you to actually get that calming effect that you're looking for when you take those quote unquote deep breaths. And as an aside, it also helps to increase libido and sexual function. All right. Now I've been watching a lot of football lately because that's what I do, and I'm a man in my 40s. That's what they do. And what I've noticed is all they do is advertise prescription drugs on there. So every time I get done watching the Bears, I just feel like I need to order like 1,000 pills. And like one of the people that advertise the most on there are the Viagra and Cialis people. Very warm market for that, with the people who are watching football, right? But the way in which that drug actually works is it is a nitric oxide mediated vasodilator. And it just happens to work in the erectile tissue. So when you're taking that pill, you're really increasing your nitrogen oxygen level, but you can't sell breathing through your nose. So I understand why there's all that advertisement there around it. And I know this audience is primarily female, so this effect does work on both men and women. So ladies, you are not alone. If you're stuck watching football, just know that you can breathe in through your nose and you don't have to order all the prescription drugs that they are definitely constantly advertising. And so if we know some more facts about breath work and we're able to dispel some myths, let's talk to what you really care about is what are the benefits of this? And I'm going to list 5 benefits of this, and you're going to notice how much they overlap and how much they are similar to the benefits of EFT, which is why I think these practices go so nicely, so nice hand in hand together. So the number one benefit of breath work is it helps you to consciously regulate the unconscious. It helps you to encourage a parasympathetic response for many clients who are stuck in a chronic sympathetic response. Just like the tapping sends signals of safety to the body. When you breathe in certain manners, and we're going to discuss that today, and I'm going to demonstrate it and you're going to practice it, you're getting an added layer of parasympathetic activation. So just like the tapping works to calm the body down, so does the breath work. They work together. The next benefit of breath work is the emotional processing that you're able to experience while engaged in this practice. Calling to mind a traumatic event, reconnecting with the emotions that were felt at the time of that event and the emotions and sensations that are felt within the body at that time, while engaging in breath work does support a sense of embodiment and it supports a sense of safety. When you're talking about the things that are most difficult for your life and you engage in a practice that takes you out of the sympathetic response and into the parasympathetic response, you're going to become naturally more grounded in where you are, and you're going to have an increased sense of safety connected to the thing that usually stresses you out. This is exactly what happens in EFT, which is why you're trained and why EFT practitioners are trained so heavily in finding specific events and specific moments and going into the things that are difficult. Not just tapping in positive things, but really focusing on what are the problems. Because if we can get the problems to be felt in the body and then send signals of safety through tapping, the body has to then choose and decide, am I really in danger right now? And if you're really in danger right now, you wouldn't be touching your face a bunch and talking about your problems and breathing in through your nose and pushing out your belly. You would be running, you would be fighting. So that paradox allows the body and gives the body permission to decouple the stimulus from the stress. And in that space, then that's when the shifts start to happen and occur. And you can do it with tapping, and you can do it with breath work, and you can do it together. The next benefit I want to talk about is the help it has with unconscious trauma. Whether your practice is focused on trauma or not, you are going to encounter it. It's going to be there. It's going to show up for you. So you want to know and you want to have things to be able to help with it. Now, breath work in particular works, it's beneficial for any type of trauma, any situation in which the person felt alone, they felt powerless, or their expectations were violated. Breathwork in particular is particularly beneficial to process in utero trauma, pre-verbal trauma, or dissociated trauma. Things that are felt within the body that you can't put a specific time, location, and moment associated with it, but you just feel it. So if you have one of those things where I'm just really uncomfortable in this type of situation, the breath work can be very, very beneficial and helpful with that. Just like EFT and tapping on body sensations, things felt within the body that aren't particularly connected to a specific event helps with preverbal and utero dissociated trauma. The breath work and extended breath works, and particularly breath holds, are really, really beneficial here. And that's one of the techniques that I'm going to demonstrate and you're going to experience later on. So don't worry about what it is or how yet. I'm going to show you that in a little bit. Breathwork really helps support healing with neuroplasticity by constantly engaging or repeatedly engaging in these calming breathwork patterns. It helps support the rewiring of the brain's neural pathways out of the automatic stress response and into a rest response. You still have the stress response for when you need it. All right. The stress response gets a bad rap. All right. You do need a sympathetic response. These aren't on and off switch. These are dials. And there are dials in the day where you want to turn up your energy. You want to turn up the cortisol within your body because that gets you into action. You just don't want it to stay up. You want to be able to turn it down. And you want to allow your body to be able to turn that down, and calming breathwork patterns, diaphragmatic breathing, and some other techniques that I'm going to show are going to help to rewire the brain so it doesn't constantly stay stuck in that sympathetic response. Because staying stuck there is like driving, is like hitting the gas in your car while you're pushing the brakes. It'll work for a while, but eventually the engine's going to give, right? So you want to be able to stop and start. You want to be able to turn it up and turn it down. And breathwork is one of these practices that really does help and support with that. And then just like EFT, breathwork is a wonderful tool to be used for self-care as well. Deeper exploration within a session, but in between, breathwork is really, really helpful. It's a tool to self-soothe, and it helps to develop stress management skills. It gives you something that you can do that is helpful when the situation feels like it's too much. And it's calming, and reinforcing it shifts and changes the way in which your body reacts to stress. All 5 of these benefits of breath work are mirrored and echoed in what EFT does for the body as well. You have all experienced this on one side of the session or the other. And so breathwork and EFT belong together. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one technique that you can use at the beginning of a session, or this is one of these techniques that you could use as a self-care tool. So learning this is going to be beneficial for you in your personal life and could also benefit your clients. And this one I like to do at the beginning of a session. Now, all these things that I'm going to share with you here are going to be on the resource sheet. All right, so I have a resource sheet created, and it's going to be automatically emailed out to you about an hour and 15 minutes after this thing is set to end. All right. And it'll contain all this information because I really want you to be able to just experience this. And also I want you to have something that you can refer back to when you're starting, if you choose to start integrating some breath work into your sessions, you've got the notes. So don't worry about taking notes. I've got you for all this stuff. Now, unequal ratio breathing is just breathing in and out at a different ratio. All right. So if you breathe in for 6 and out for 6, that's equal ratio breath. If you breathe in for 2 and out for 4, that's unequal. All right. And in this case, we're going to make the exhales longer than the inhales because that's going to have a parasympathetic response. So the first physical benefit is that unequal ratio breathing does help you to activate a parasympathetic nervous system response, a rest and digest response. It helps improve cardiovascular health. I'm not going to go too deep in that because we already covered that more in the myth section. And it's going to increase your carbon dioxide tolerance, which is going to enable you to breathe less, which helps with all kinds of different chronic diseases. The Buteyko method, he's a Russian scientist who studied breath work. That's the best resources on if you're interested in breathing less for health benefits. Buteyko is the name to research. Now, these also have mental benefits as well, though. With the physical comes the mental. So with the parasympathetic response, you get the calming sensations within the body. It helps people with enhanced focus. And this is why I like to use it at the beginning of sessions. Right? It helps bring people into their bodies. So a grounded and awareness of internal processes, and it helps with their focus as they do that. So it brings people into their bodies and it brings them into where they are. And that's what we want to have people. That's the state we want them in to get the most benefit out of an EFT session. So cues that the client might give you that you might want to use some unequal ratio breathing at the beginning of a session is they show up hot, all right? They show up emotionally overwhelmed. If they're emotionally overwhelmed and they're stuck in that sympathetic response, they're going to be unable to focus and to really get the maximum benefit of what they could be experiencing. So if they're emotionally overwhelmed, unequal ratio breath is going to help with that. If they have the inability to focus on an issue, you ask them what's going on and what they would like to work on, and the list is just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming, and this and this and this. Right? It helps to slow all of that stuff down. And these people are stuck in a sympathetic response state. So the people who could just their body language and everything they have just emanates that they're very, very stressed. This is going to be a quick way in which to turn that dial down a little bit so that they're able to focus on an issue and focus on their healing. So I'm going to go over the steps here and then I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to do this together. So I'm just going to explain the steps now, so don't worry about doing it. The first step for this is going to be to close your eyes. We want to close the eyes because every time you close your eyes, you get a flare of alpha brainwaves. Now, beta brainwaves are your conscious walking around, paying attention, doing stuff brainwaves. When we get into theta, that's the subconscious body. That's the slower brainwave. Alpha is the bridge between the two. And so we really want to close our eyes because it's going to help to connect the body with the mind. It's going to help to connect the conscious with the subconscious. So always with the eyes closed. The first step will be to breathe in through your nose and just notice that you're breathing. Feel the breath within your body. After people have their eyes closed and they're breathing through your nose, you're going to start to push out your belly as you inhale through your nose. As you push out your belly, you're going to visualize your lower back expanding. That's going to really that's going to exercise that diaphragm muscle and activate that parasympathetic state even greater. You're going to make your exhale longer than your inhale. In this case, we don't care what the ratio is, just longer. All right. The easiest way to make your exhale longer than your inhale is to blow out through your mouth like you're blowing out of a straw. Gives you a whole lot of control of that exhale and you can make it nice and super long. After people have that, we want to guide them to rest their tongue on the floor of their mouth. And the reason we do that is because it relaxes the jaw. And so many people are subconsciously carrying tension in their jaw. And as their jaw relaxes, their neck relaxes. And as their neck relaxes, their shoulders relax and they'll come down about 1/4 of an inch and back. And all those are signals of safety. So you're layering more of those signals into the body. And then you just repeat, falling into a gentle rhythm. Now, the reason we want to do that is we want to, first off, number one, it's really beneficial for the clients who's overwhelmed. But there's a secondary purpose to this. Remember that this diaphragmatic breathing helps with a grounded awareness within the body. And in EFT, we're always looking for things about how can we connect people with what they're actually feeling? The sensations, location, size, shape, temperature, texture, color, the things going on within the body. That's going to increase that awareness. So I'm going to guide you through like exactly what I would do with a client, and I'm going to ask you to participate and play along with me. Okay. Now, the easiest way to play along is to have an issue, something that you're thinking about, something that's going on within your life that's been a little troublesome lately. Something that gives you a little stress when you think about it. So put that issue in mind. And then let's go ahead and let's have this little experience together. So what I'm going to say to you, and just follow my lead. So what I want everybody to do right now is I just want you to get comfortable. Okay. Sit up as straight as it feels comfortable and just go ahead and close your eyes. Now, as you close your eyes, I just want you to start breathing in through your nose. Just notice the flow of your breath in and out. You don't need to change it or do anything with it right now. You're just noticing that you're breathing. You breathe all day long and you barely even think about it. That's your body, your subconscious mind doing work for you. Now, the next time you breathe into your nose, I just want you to put your hand on your belly and I want you to push your belly out as the air goes in through your nose. Just do that a couple of times and get used to in through the nose while the belly goes out. And as you go in through the nose while you push out your belly, you can start to visualize your lower back expands as your belly expands. Really breathing lower now. And as you breathe into your nose while you push out your belly, feeling your lower back expand, you can start to make sure your exhale is longer than your inhale. You can breathe out through your mouth like you're pushing air out of a straw. Give you maximum control. So into the nose, belly and back. Exhale longer than your inhale, and then rest your tongue on the floor of your mouth. As you rest your tongue on the floor of your mouth, you'll start to notice that your jaw will start to loosen, and relax, which will send a signal to your neck. Any tension you've been holding for your day will start to melt, and that'll go to your shoulders, and you'll notice that they go down and back like a quarter of an inch, which really helps expand that belly and lower back. And I just want you to fall into that gentle rhythm of in and out. And as you're doing that, you know that it's very, very easy now for you to rest your awareness, to think about your body, that issue that's going on within your life. You'll be able to find that and feel that within you. You can scan your body, starting with your pelvis, moving up to your stomach, to your chest, to your throat. And you'll start to notice sensations, temperature, maybe a size or a shape or a texture. That's your body, your subconscious mind now communicating with you. It's letting you know where it's holding this. And as you're breathing in, you may get other messages from your body. You might get something like a thought that comes through that your body's sharing with you related to this issue. And all these things come from somewhere. The body thinks in individual specific moments. And if you had a moment connected to this that was too much for you to process at the time, your body's been holding on to it for you, protecting you from it. This type of breathing practice is going to allow that to come forward. It might allow that specific moment in time that was too much to start coming back, maybe in bits and pieces. But whatever your body's communicated with you, that's just fine. That's what it's ready to release, and we thank it for that release, for that communication. And when you're ready, you can open up your eyes and come back to the present moment. And now just notice the difference in your energy. Notice the mental space that you're in now compared to where you started. And consider the messages that came from your body and how those could be utilized in future rounds of tapping. If you were my individual client, I would ask you what came up, what messages were shared. And if there's sensations in the body, we can tap on that. If there are thoughts that come through, we can use those. If there's specific moments in time, well then, hey, we just hit the gold mine, right? So you can take a client from overwhelmed to grounded and embodied with something to work on. And you can work on it using EFT right away. So that's one way in which to begin a session. And that's actually like what I have people do in between rounds of tapping as well. I don't provide all those explanations because they've already experienced it. I'll just cue them with, all right, eyes closed, nose, belly, back, long exhale, tongue on the floor of your mouth. Now find this in your body. And I found that little bit of time in between rounds helps with calming, it helps with integration, and it helps people get to the deeper places that they need to go, the origins of whatever they're working on. It allows those things to come through and show up a little sooner. And since we're reflecting people's words and experiences back to them, if we can deepen the level of the words and experiences that they're getting, we can deepen the levels of the sessions. So while this was at the beginning of a session, I also use it during a session as well. Okay. Which leads us to our next technique that I want to talk about. And that is the physiological sigh. All right. So the physiological sigh, if I can get my thing to come down, is the next technique I want to talk about. So the physiological sigh, here are the benefits of this thing before I explain what it is. Number one, it is the fastest and quickest way to engage a parasympathetic system response. It will lower heart rate and it will dramatically reduce stress markers in the body and it'll do it quick. So then you get these mental benefits. There is an increased ability to focus on the present. When we are guiding people into deeper work, into past events, they can lose themselves back in that past event. If you feel like they're slipping back away into that and it's too much, this gets them right back to where they are. It gives them a relaxation effect when they're feeling overwhelmed, and it helps to quickly reduce those feelings of overwhelm so that you can continue the work that you're doing. Right? Now, when would you use this? When someone becomes very, very emotionally overwhelmed, accessing one of those very traumatic memories, this is the technique that is my go-to. If they're having difficulty speaking, like they can't get words out, this is my go-to technique. If they're not making eye contact and you can see that they're drifting off into that trauma capsule, this is the go-to technique. And here are the steps. First, I have people keep their eyes right with me. I say, put your eyes with me, stay with me. And I don't break eye contact with them. That way they know that there's a calming person and presence there, and it keeps them more in the moment. You're going to have them inhale as deeply as they can, right? Filling their lungs completely through their nose. So it'll look like this. And then without exhaling, they're going to take an additional breath. So it goes, and then they exhale slowly and completely. And then you repeat that until the symptoms of overwhelm dissipate, right? You have seen people do this. When people are emotionally overwhelmed and they're crying, they'll They'll start gasping for air like that. That's the body's natural way of restoring that balance. We're just using that natural way and we're doing it consciously to provide people with that feeling of safety. And all it usually takes is 1 to 3. Mhm. 1 to 3, somebody is calm enough and focused on me enough that I'm able to start doing the tapping with them. Mhm. So this isn't like a stop. This is like I have them, they're still tapping. Mhm. So it just looks like this. Keep tapping, keep your eyes with me. So look at me right now. Just stay with me and do what I do. So I don't even explain the steps because they're remote because they're in a state where explaining isn't good. Just do what I do. You ready? And again, one last time. And now let's continue. Top of the head. Okay? And then we just use the reminder phrases and around we go. So this is my break glass in case of emergency. Okay? And I can't tell you the number of times that it has come through and been so very, very beneficial. We don't need to pause the session. We don't need to stop the session. Within that 1 minute, we've shifted the person into enough of a present state that they can continue. Right? It doesn't turn off the stress response. But remember, if the dial's all the way here, it's going to turn it down enough. We don't want to turn it down all the way because we want them to feel the stress so they can tap through it and the body can learn that they don't have to have that response. But if it's too much and it's overwhelming, well, you can't do anything. So this little technique is so very, very valuable to have in your back pocket. Makes you much more comfortable and calm, allowing the person's stress responses to raise because you're not afraid of any overwhelm because no matter what happens, you know that you can bring them back. And bringing them back is everything. Now, here's going to be the main thing that we're going to do today. All right. This is going to be our main experience. All right. And this is the third technique that we're out of 4 that we're going to show, that I'm going to show. Right. Now, this is going to be unequal ratio breathing, but with breath holds. We're going to do some extended breath holds with this. We're even going to do it we're going to have some audio cues and do it with music. So why engage in unequal ratio breathing with extended breath holds? Number one, you get all the benefits of the unequal ratio breath that we went over. So you get all that stuff. But what are the benefits of the extended breath hold? When you hold your breath, you actually stimulate your vagus nerve, which helps to regulate your autonomic nervous system. So it's the best way to access that vagus nerve and all the benefits that come with that. It's going to increase those red blood cell counts even higher for more oxygenation of the cell and more increased delivery of oxygen. When you hold your breath, those CO2 levels go up and up and up and up and up and up and up until you get the overwhelming urge to breathe. So we're popping those CO2 levels so you get all of that relief. You get all that oxygen to your cells. You get all the people out of the subway cars. The benefits are enhanced focus and mental clarity. When you do extended breath work, it is the fastest way to get to a place of meditative stillness. I can't tell you the number of years that I meditated looking for that stillness to be there all the time. And you can find it. And part of it is the practice of allowing the mind to be crazy so you can get to the calm plot. I know that's a great benefit of meditation. That's why I did it. But that's also why I incorporate breath work into all my meditations now, is because I know I can get there and I can get there faster. It works better for me. I get enhanced focus and mental clarity every time I do these extended breath holds. And I do it every day. And the more you engage in it, it's going to increase your resilience to stress and anxiety. Number one, because you're physically stressing the body by not breathing. but you're remaining calm. That's the mental side of it, right? But also you're rewiring those neural pathways to go to a place of calm when you usually feel a place of agitation. Now, counterindication. So we're going to demonstrate this, but if you have any of the following, I'm going to ask you to not do the extended breath holds. We're going to do some rhythmic breathing, some unequal ratio breathing ahead of time. That's perfectly safe. Please do that. But if you have cardiovascular issues, chronic respiratory conditions, you have migraines, epilepsy, or vertigo, if you're pregnant, or clinical anxiety or panic disorder, I want you to refrain from the breath work unless you've got permission from a doctor to go through it. All right. So when everybody else is holding their breath, you just continue with the rhythmic breathing. You're still going to get lots of benefits. All right. Or PTSD. That's the last one. So, client clues. When would you use this? If they cannot access specific events related to an issue, it's usually a symptom or a sign. Despite multiple cueings, multiple rounds of tapping, you still can't get there. It usually means it's dissociated trauma or it's pre-verbal trauma, and they may not have access to their memories. So this is beneficial to get some calming effect related to those types of issues. If they say, I've always felt this way, it's just me, it's always been me. That's another clue that their nervous system was probably dysregulated at a very, very young age, and they just don't know any different. All right. Or if their SUD levels just simply are not budging. You've tried everything and they feel stuck. This is something that can help. All right. And then I'm going to go through all the steps, but I'm going to go through all the steps and I'm going to have you experience them with me. All right. So again, don't worry about writing anything down here because all these steps are going to be included and hyperlinked on the resource sheet that you're all going to get because you registered. So just for a moment, I want you to just engage in this experience. Right? Now, you may want to write something down. You can write this down or not, but the first step when you're going to do some of this extended breath work is to set an intention. There's a beautiful quote in our practice I picked up in a book called The Illuminated Breath by Dylan Werner. And in his breathwork book, he says that there's an equation to get the outcome you're looking for in breathwork. And the equation is this: it's intention times purpose times an action equals an outcome. So you want to set an intention going into a breathwork practice. You want to state that intention in the present tense. So it's going to start off with the words, I am blank. And I want you to say what your desired emotional state is. What's something that you're struggling with in your life? And when you've been able to process it and move through it, how will you feel? I am blank. The shorter that sentence is, the better. Right? We're not going to you don't want to wordsmith this and try to win a Pulitzer here. State something as simply as you possibly can about how you want to feel, but say it in the present tense like you already have it. Right? So if something is really agitating you, you might want to say, I am calm. And if that makes you feel weird, like I could never be calm, beautiful. Then you are in the right spot. So if it feels uncomfortable saying it, hallelujah. This is what we're going for here, people. So I am what? You can write it down or you can just put it in your head. But you want to have your attention, your desired outcome ahead of time. Intention times purpose. So if you don't have a purpose for this, it doesn't matter. Anything times zero is zero, right? No outcome, no purpose, no outcome. All those years of math really coming through right here. This is why I took Calc 4, just for that right there. All right. Your purpose is who will this benefit? Right? I believe us to be naturally hardwired for cooperation, to benefit and help others. You're doing this for you, but I want you to picture someone or a group of people. When you have this desired emotional shift, who does that benefit? And the more specific you can be. If it's a large group of people, think of one person within that group. And not just think about and start describing how your emotional shift will benefit them, but picture them. How will they look? How will they sound? See them in your mind's eye. So you have your intention, I am blank. You have your purpose. Who is this going to benefit? Right? And then you're going to have your actual action, your steps. All right. And I'm going to describe the steps now, and then we're going to engage in this. And I created an MP3, like an audio that's going to guide you through this, and I'm going to do it with you, and we're all going to do and breathe together. Okay. It'll be less than 10 minutes long, though. This is one of those long, like 60-minute things. This is like a shorter thing to do in combination with an EFT sessions. I found 10 minutes to be about the sweet spot. Okay. And you can do it once or twice a session. You know, if you try to do it 3 times, like that, you kind of run out of time in an hour. All right. So you're going to do the unequal ratio breath that we talked about. So in through the nose, pushing out the belly, expanding the back, exhale longer than your inhale. But this time we're going to do it at a ratio of 2 seconds in, 4 seconds out. So in for 2, out for 4. There'll be audio cueing. You just follow the audio. That's 6 seconds per breath, which is 10 breaths per minute. The average adult breathes 10 to 12, 10 to 15 times per minute. So you're getting the exact amount of air in that you're always getting, all right? But it's coming in a very rhythmic manner, and the music behind it is set to that beat, to that cadence as well. All right, so it's helping to entrain all those systems of the body, right? If you want an added benefit, you don't have to do this, but here's an option. On the exhale, if you put your tongue behind your teeth, you can hum or say om on the way out. That's called the humming bee breath, and that increases the nitric oxide levels in your body by 10 to 15%. So all those benefits of that beautiful neurotransmitter, you can increase them by 10 to 15% if you're just willing to hum on your exhale, right? If it's too complicated and you can't remember to do it, it's not a big deal. The other stuff will work anyway. But added option if you're feeling frisky. Okay. Now, after you do, we're going to do 40 to 45 rounds of that in for 2, out for 4. When that gets done, there'll be a crescendo of the music, and then you're going to be cued to breathe fully in and then fully out. And then you hold your breath on the exhale. Right. How long do you hold your breath? Well, there's like 45 seconds of it to a minute in this like audio. If you haven't been doing a lot of breath work, that's going to be too long to hold your breath on the exhale. So how long do you do it? One step past your comfort zone. Okay. Override the first urge to breathe. But when you start to get the second and third one, it's okay. Take a sip of air in, blow it out, and continue. That'll be cued as well. If you don't need to take the sip of air, don't. If you need to take it earlier, do. Listen to your body. One step, and some of you hard pushers out there, I said one step, not 25, all right? One step past your comfort zone, and only one. That's really important if you got hard driving clients, like they'll make it a competition to see how long they can go. They'll start turning purple and stuff. Anybody if you got any clients who are runners, watch out for that because they're going to do that to you, whether you tell them to or not, all right? And then you'll release and you'll breathe normally. But that's not the only type of breath hold that we're going to do. The next one is then you're going to breathe fully in. So you'll breathe fully in and you'll hold at the top of your breath and you're going to squeeze. Okay? You can squeeze your pelvis like you're trying to stop the flow of urine. You'll squeeze your stomach like you're preparing to get punched in the gut. Squeeze your chest. The easiest way to do it is put your hands together and push. Okay. Which is also going to squeeze your throat. Your eyes are going to be closed and you're envisioning pulling the energy up out of the lower centers, the pelvis, the stomach, the chest to the throat, and you're shooting it out the crown of your head. You're visualizing that energy moving up. And as that energy moves up and flows out, it's going to come back to you, but it's going to come back unstuck. And there's going to be a flow of energy. You can even pulse as you squeeze. You can pulse your pelvis, like you're starting and stopping the urine flow. And that's going to send little shoots of energy. So it'll be coming up your spine and shooting out of the crown of your head. You're going to squeeze as hard as you feel comfortable. You know, if it's not comfortable to squeeze hard, don't. If you really like to squeeze hard, I do, you know, and go ahead and let her rip, whatever feels good to you. Okay. Just don't squeeze so hard that you pass out. Right. And then you're going to do that twice. And then you're going to return to normal and you're going to notice those sensations in your body. So that issue that you're currently experiencing, I want you to remember what it is now. If you want to write down a SUD level associated with it, you can. If you want to write down how it feels within your body now, you can. If you just want to make a mental note of it, you can. But right now, let's go ahead and let's do this together. Okay. Let me get my other window up. So where are we at here? Sessions, breathwork. All right, 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So let's go ahead and share. So everybody get comfortable in your chairs. Any note-taking devices are now down. I'm going to share my sound and share my screen. You can go ahead and close your eyes and just follow the cueing system, and here we go. Create an intention. How do you want to feel? State it in the present tense. I am blank. Set a purpose. Which person or group of people will benefit from your emotional shift? Picture them right now in your mind's eye.
In, 2, out, 2, 3, 4. 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 In,
awareness to your intention, your purpose, the feelings and sensations in your body. When you get the first urge to breathe, override that first sensation. Go just past your comfort zone. Then take a little sip of air in, fully out, and continue. Now fully in, hold, and squeeze. Pull that energy up from your pelvis, through your stomach, to your chest, your throat, and shoot it out the crown of your head. Now release and relax. Now fully in, hold, and squeeze. Pull that energy up from your pelvis, through your stomach, to your chest, your throat, and shoot it out the crown of your head. Now release and relax. Recall your intention, your desired emotional state. Remember your purpose. Who is impacted by this shift? And now notice that you feel better.
The mouse picked an excellent time to stop functioning. Sorry here. My mouse has died on me and I can't move it, which is awesome. As I'm working on fixing my mouse, if you wouldn't mind checking back in with your number, checking back in with how you felt. And as I charge this thing real quick so I can exit the screen, share your experience, share anything that was different in how you feel. And hopefully I can get enough power here to get this thing to work. Guess I'll learn from now on to charge this thing ahead of time. If I get a different one. All right. Stop the share. All right. Well, I'm back. My mouse is no longer working, but I am here. All right. So that was that experience. All right. And I can see from the chat that this was beneficial and helpful. Yeah, you're right, Miri. That was this is from Niraj, who has the Soma breathwork. So I lifted the audio from the awakening program that I did with him and the breathwork certification that I did, and then just shortened it a little bit. All right. And so yeah, the breathing in beats thing and the breathing with the music is proved to be very, very beneficial and helpful, but I wanted it to be able to be more accessible within session. It doesn't mean you need it like that, but like it was like, it's beneficial and it's helpful. So yeah, that's where that the in for two, out for four with the extended holds comes in. And so now there's one more technique that I want to show you. And this is for the end of sessions. Right. And the technique that what I want to show you at the end is something that we used for balancing. It'll help to balance between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. You might have people who are very relaxed at the end of a session. They need to go out in their day. All right. If they're very spacey or disoriented, they don't look like they're in linear time anymore. This is going to bring them back into a balanced state of moment. A lot of times you've guided people through some really difficult, some big experiences. Right? They've had a lot of insight. They've been into their body a lot. This helps to balance their intelligence and their intuition. It helps to balance the mind with the body. And it also really helps with integration. Right? It helps integrate both the left and the right hemisphere, brain hemispheres. And it helps to integrate new insights into old paradigms and ways of being. And so this is called alternate nostril breath. And since so many of you have experienced some new learning here, it might be beneficial and it might be helpful for you to go ahead and have some integration time and get more balance, because that breath work can be a little bit intense. So with the alternate nostril breathing, now the way they recommend that you do this is they recommend that you put these two fingers like on your forehead, and then you can block one nostril with your thumb and you block the other one with your ring finger. Now, I don't like to do that because I'm on camera with you guys. And also I find it really awkward. So I know I'm violating all yogic principles here, but hey, I'm almost self-taught here. So what are you gonna do? All right. So I just kind of like to use this one and then another finger and keep it down here. Just it's less awkward for me. And I think you get the benefit. So that's the way I'm going to do it. Okay. So the way it's going to work here is you'll block your right nostril and you'll breathe in through your left. And you block your left nostril and you exhale through the right. Then you go in through the right, switch, out through the left, in left, and out right. Those are the steps. Now let me do all the cueing for you, all right? All right, so you've just experienced a lot of things within your session. And I want to make sure that you feel balanced and ready to go on with your day. I want you to be able to integrate these insights into your life. You've had big energetic shifts. You've had big emotional shifts. You've had major insights, and we want to balance those things. And we can balance those things with alternate nostril breathing. So all I'm going to ask you to do right now is I'm going to ask you to, again, just close your eyes. And you're going to breathe in that same manner with the belly and the back pushed out. But this time I'm going to have you take your thumb and block your right nostril. I want you to breathe in through the left for 4. So in left, block the left, out right. In right, block, out left. In left, block left and out right. In right, block right, out left. One last one. In left, out right. Drop your hands. Feel yourself grounded in your chair, feet on the floor. When you feel ready, open your eyes. Return to the present moment. Notice something close to you, something far away across the room. And then that's the exiting experience. Send people out calm, balanced, and integrated. And so as a result of this webinar, there are 3 things that I'm going to share with you. Number 1, if you found any practice within here, breathwork is very safe. It's a very safe technique. The only thing you want to be careful of is the extended breath holds, but any of those other breath techniques are very safe to use with any client. So if you feel a sense of integrating to begin or end a session, or if you want to start using some of that calming breath work to get people grounded and centered in their body, to get deeper sensations, to guide them towards specific moments, if it feels right, please use it and integrate it. At 7:30 Central Time, you're going to get an automatic email. The email is going to contain the resource sheet for this, which is going to have step-by-step all the techniques hyperlinked that you experience. So you've got all those, along with all the benefits. So you're going to be able to pre-frame them for people or for yourself. Okay. It's also going to contain a replay of this webinar, mistakes and all, because I'm not going to edit it. All right. Share it. Share it with anybody that you think will benefit. Okay. So if somebody wasn't able to attend and you think that they could have or wish they would have, or you hear them talking about it, share the resource sheet. It'll have the webinar linked right on it. So that's for you. Use it. Enjoy, share. Let's help as many people as possible. In addition to that, there's going to be a link for breathwork sessions. That's my new offering that I'm putting together as I'm doing EFT sessions, and I'm also doing breathwork plus EFT sessions that incorporate the techniques and many more of them that I've got that are appropriate for you and your individual situation. The link to that session note is going to be $75 off a 3-session package. That's for you. It's for anybody else you want to share with. I'm going to keep that link open through the end of November. So anybody that registers with the link, it's $75 off. Right? That benefits me, and hopefully it'll benefit the people that you recommend or refer it. Or if you think it could benefit you, I'd love to work with you. Right? So integrate breathwork where it feels comfortable. Share this with anyone and everyone that you think would be beneficial and helpful. We don't need to hoard this information. We can put it out into the world as best we can. And then if you are interested in breathwork sessions, use the link and get some money off, or share it with somebody you think that would be beneficial and helpful for. Okay. So that's an awful lot of me talking, and I've got a lot of friends here that I haven't seen in a long time, and you may have questions. So I know I've got some people in here that have actually experienced breathwork within sessions. So if you wanted to share any of your experiences, you are welcome to. You are certainly not required to talk about your personal experiences in any way, shape, or form. But if you want to, you can. If you have questions or you want to ask something about me, this would be the little Q&A time. That's perfectly reasonable. You can use the hand feature, or you can also share any of your experiences within this webinar and what it felt like for you. But I'll stick around for like 7 more minutes or so, and any questions, any experiences that you've had and within this session or within this webinar or within a session that you're comfortable sharing, we'll answer some questions and we'll hang out for a little bit. Maybe somebody else can talk besides me, right? All right, I got a hand up. I can't hover over your name because Zoe. Go ahead, Zoe. Unmute and ask your question now.
Hey Kurt, thanks. My question is what you might recommend to people if they're congested and can't breathe through their nose for any of the parts that require nose breathing.
Um, Usually when you're congested, it's usually one nostril or the other. That's a little bit more, so you can try going in through one. All right. But if they're too stuffed up to do it, then like I would just skip it and wait for another day, to be honest with
Okay.
you.
All right, thanks, Kurt.
You're welcome. I wish I had a more nuanced and thoughtful answer than that, but I don't. So there it is. All right, Teresa, go ahead, unmute and ask.
Hey, first of all, did you read the Nestor book, Breathe?
Yep, I read that one.
That was a good book.
Yeah.
And then this is more of a comment that I have found because I am a yoga therapist, and I found using breath techniques extremely helpful when dealing with pain.
Yeah.
And I had my own personal experience with that because I had an emergency appendectomy and I didn't need pain medicine afterwards. I tapped, I breathed, I tapped, I breathed.
Yeah. There are 2 things I want to say about pain and breath work, right? Number 1, pain's a message from the body and we don't like it. All right, so we push it away as fast as we can. Give me a drug, get me out of here. Very, very familiar with pain, as many of you have probably heard my story before. The pain is a message, and we don't like to listen to it. But that in through the nose, pushing out the belly, exhale longer than you inhale, eyes closed, and then resting your awareness in the area that's in pain with the intention of opening yourself up to the message. That was the latest breakthrough I've had in my physical levels of pain. As I would breathe in that manner, I would hold my breath and I would think about my right foot and I would just say, show me. Show me. What are you holding on to? Show me. Now, I will warn you, I did that and my body started showing me at 2:30 in the morning, and it continued to show me till 5:30 in the morning. And I re-experienced the worst of my CRP, my complex regional pain syndrome. I went back into my body showed me the moments when I was having the foot cramps. You ever had a foot cramp? That shit hurts. All right. Now have a foot cramp, and then every spasm of it sends electric pain through your body at a scale of 10. All right. That's what I would have done anything. I would have cut my foot off. If I had the money, I would have amputated it. If I had a knife, I would have done it. Right. And so my body held that for me, and I wasn't ready to process it until I did the breath work and I said, show me. And then it did. And then all the tapping and the slow breath helped me to calm my nervous system while I felt it. Okay. The other breathwork technique that's very, very helpful for pain perception is victorious breath, sometimes known as ocean breath. And if you're a Star Wars fan, known as Darth Vader breath, right? Because it sounds like Darth Vader when you breathe. So it's like you go in and out, but you make a noise like you're fogging up, like you're trying to fog up a mirror. So if you have your hand in front and you breathe out through your mouth, now close your mouth, make the same noise, and then make that noise on the inhale and the exhale. So it's almost like a mantra meditation. And it really helps with pain perception. And I think probably it is because it gets you to focus on the mantra, it gets you to focus on the gentle rhythm of that, which really helps with perception of pain. That's for another webinar though. I'll come up with one on working with pain. I'll stick that one in there. And next time, I will charge this wireless mouse if I don't smash it with a hammer after this thing's over with. Which is on the table, by the way. I haven't ruled that out yet. We'll see how I feel at the end of this. All right. Allie, you got your physical hand up. Go ahead and unmute. Yeah. I don't know if you were waving at me or if you were raising your hand or what was going on.
So you said Allie, which is funny because
Allie. Oh, that was a
that's
Freudian
because I'm
slip.
a twin and my sister twin is Allie and we work on. So I've been working with Kurt for, well, now like definitely well over a year, maybe a year and a half. Yeah. And I just want to say I'm so grateful that I have been working with Kurt, and I wasn't planning on talking because I don't love doing this, but I have to do this because of all the levels of healing that I've had with my work with Kurt, and the breath work really has helped me so much. I mean, just after our sessions, I work with him a couple times a month, and after our sessions, I'm always so calm. And the next day, I just feel this sense of peace and calm, and there's a ripple effect with all of it. And I definitely think Kurt, like the added breath work, has really made a difference. I always feel so calm. And one thing I will say with Kurt is I ruminate a lot, and I've never done that with Kurt when you're working with him. And it's all that now I know the science behind the breath work, but it's like helped me so much. I might, after I get off of this, and think, did I make any sense? But anyway, I love this, and I'm so grateful. And I just want to speak on the fact that I've done so much healing, and I believe in EFT with all my heart, but the added breath work has made it, I think, clear out much faster. And also, just one more thing, I've been starting to get to places in my past where I never want to go, and working on it and getting through things that you never want to think about, and able to wake up the next morning and be like, wow, I'm okay, and function. I can't say enough about working with Kurt, and we did use some of this breath work, so I know it is huge, and I'm just grateful. So that's all I've got. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Your Venmo is on the way. Unpaid, relax. But like, thank you very much for sharing that. That means a lot to me. Freudian slip there with Allie there. Sorry about that. All right, any other questions before we get out of here? All right, people, thank you so much for coming. You know, when you put these things out, you never know if you're going to get anybody, but we had over 50 people here tonight. We had over 150 people registered who are watching. You're going to watch the replay, or at least get the replay in their inbox. So remember, watch for that. It'll come with the replay. It'll come with the resources. Share it with whoever. And if you want to do some sessions, make sure to click on the link and get some money off, and share that with anybody else that's been going through a difficult time. You can share the webinar with them so they can hear about it a little bit ahead of time. And like, if you think it'll help, let's help. Right? It'll help everyone. So thank you very much, people. I am going to have to attempt to try to end this thing with no wireless remote mouse, but that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for attending, and I will see you guys in certification, in sessions, or at the next webinar. So bye-bye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Peace and blessings.
Thank you. Thank you.
This was really wonderful. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. It's great. Zoom. Come here.